The story begins on a peaceful morning outside the White House, where two security guards casually chat about family and life. The warm sun filters through the clouds, creating a deceptively calm atmosphere for what's about to unfold. Suddenly, a portal tears open in the air, and two supervillains, known as the Mauler twins, lead an assault on the Capitol. Their hulking figures loom ominously among panicked civilians. In a fluid burst of energy, the Guardians of the Globe, Earth's premier superhero team, arrive to contain the threat. They're joined by Omni-Man, the planet's most powerful hero, recognized for his imposing physique, iconic mustache, and commanding presence. Meanwhile, across town, 17-year-old Mark Grayson struggles with the mundane realities of high school life. He's restless, waiting for the superpowers he's been promised to inherit from his Viltrumite father, Omni-Man. Mark's mother, Debbie, offers gentle encouragement, reminding him that great power comes at unexpected moments. Late that evening, as Mark takes out the trash, he finally experiences a surge of strength, the first sign of his long-awaited abilities. His eyes light up with a mix of awe and nervous excitement, setting the stage for his transformation into Invincible. With his father's guidance, Mark begins rudimentary flight training. The scenes are tinged with fatherly pride, and strangely, a hint of tension in Omni-Man's piercing stare. Mark's joy is evident as he tests his new strength, but Omni-Man's cryptic remarks about Viltrumite heritage and the weight of responsibility cast a foreboding shadow. Through Mark's wide-eyed grin and Debbie's cautious concern, we sense the emotional core of this family dynamic. In the closing moments, the episode takes a harrowing turn. The Guardians of the Globe gather at their secret headquarters, puzzled by a mysterious summons. Before they can react, Omni-Man appears, eyes cold, fists clenched. In a shockingly brutal sequence, he slaughters them all in a matter of minutes. The scene is rendered in stark reds and deep shadows, intensifying the horror. Blood spatters across pristine floors as the Guardians make desperate attempts to fight back. Omni-Man's face, stoic and almost detached, reveals no mercy. By the end of the massacre, he collapses, injured but alive, leaving the audience to grapple with the chilling reality that Earth's mightiest heroes have been wiped out by the very man sworn to protect them. The episode opens on a somber note. GDA, Global Defense Agency, operatives swarm the Guardian's secret lair, carefully bagging evidence from the grisly crime scene. Omni-Man, barely clinging to life, is rushed to a high-tech medical facility. The atmosphere is thick with suspicion. Although the authorities don't initially point fingers at Omni-Man, there's an unspoken question lingering in every corridor. What really happened here? Mark, unaware of his father's dark actions, anxiously visits the hospital, heart heavy with concern. Debbie stands at Omni-Man's bedside, her hand trembling on his arm. The once invincible hero lies broken and bruised, the world's sympathy, yet the audience knows the sinister truth. Mark, desperate to honor his father's heroic legacy, dons a makeshift costume. In a sweet yet comedic exchange, he teams up with fellow young hero Atom Eve, who radiates confidence and curiosity. Together, they rush to fight off an alien invasion from the Flaxens, interdimensional conquerors whose advanced technology makes them formidable opponents. This chaotic confrontation unfolds in the heart of the city, with laser blasts illuminating skyscrapers and civilians fleeing through smoke-laden streets. Mark's inexperience shows. He's nearly overwhelmed by the relentless onslaught. Eve, graceful and strategic, tries to guide him, but fear flickers in Mark's eyes. That fear begins to transform into resolve when Omni-Man, miraculously recovered, joins the fight. He eliminates the Flaxens with devastating efficiency, following them back through their portal and laying waste to their entire dimension. Yet something about Omni-Man's performance feels off. His aggression, his absolute annihilation of the Flaxen world. The final shot lingers on his stone-cold gaze as he emerges from the portal, victorious but terrifying. Mark and Eve share a concerned glance, as do we, sensing that Omni-Man's heroism may be laced with something far darker than simple guardianship. Back at home, the Grayson household tries to return to a semblance of normalcy. Omni-Man, fully recuperated, shares a quiet breakfast with Debbie and Mark. The camera lingers on Debbie's face. Her eyes flicker with worry as she notices subtle changes in her husband's demeanor. He's more distant, prone to sudden moods of silent intensity. In an attempt to support Mark's fledgling hero career, Omni-Man offers training tips, but there's an unsettling harshness in his guidance. Meanwhile, the Global Defense Agency continues its investigation into the Guardian's murder. Cecil Stedman, the agency's calculating director, reviews security footage, searching for any clue that might link Omni-Man to the crime. Suspicion grows when the new teen and super team, Robot, Rexplode, Atom Eve, and Duplicate, convenes to fill the Guardian's void. The tryouts, organized by Robot, are a whirlwind of fast punches and spectacular power displays, underscoring just how big a gap the fallen Guardians have left behind. Mark, still learning to balance high school life with superhero duties, struggles to keep up academically and socially. His budding friendship with Amber Bennett hints at a normal life he desperately wants to preserve, but the call to heroism is relentless. When the reanimated corpse of a villain emerges from a nearby crypt, Mark rushes to help the new teen team. Under city streetlights, Mark wrestles with the undead threat, the wet pavement reflecting neon streaks of color as each blow lands. Fear creeps in when he realizes just how lethal the superhero world can be. Back at the GDA, Cecil stands over Omni-Man's hospital files, his expression stern. There's an unspoken dread in the facility's sterile corridors. Behind every locked door lies the question no one dares voice. Could Earth's greatest hero be responsible for its greatest atrocity? Tensions ease momentarily as Mark receives a unique assignment, a mission to Mars. The GDA hopes to prevent a potential threat from a parasitic race native to the Red Planet. Eager to prove himself and to escape the crushing suspicions forming at home, Mark accepts. The rocket launch is a monumental moment for the young hero. Light from the spacecraft's engines bathes the launch pad in an orange glow as Mark, wearing a specialized suit, prepares for the journey with excitement buzzing in his chest. On Mars, the rust-colored landscape stretches for miles under a thin atmosphere. The Martian caverns, dimly lit by foreign bioluminescent fungi, feel eerie and silent. Mark and the team of astronauts come face to face with Martian soldiers, including their stern ruler who warns about the Sequence, a hive-mind parasite that can take over entire civilizations. As Mark attempts to keep the situation peaceful, the sense of looming danger grows. A single Sequid latches onto an astronaut, hinting at a catastrophic future if left unchecked. Back on Earth, Debbie's detective work begins in earnest. Suspecting something amiss with the story of the Guardian's death, she scrutinizes Omni-Man's costume, noticing bloodstains hidden within the fabric. The home feels colder, shadows stretching in corridors once filled with warmth. Omni-Man, away on his own strange errands, evades Debbie's questions with curt replies. The tension between them crackles under every conversation. By the episode's end, Mark safely returns from Mars, carrying with him the knowledge that the galaxy is far more dangerous and complicated than he ever imagined. Yet his homecoming is overshadowed by the silent war brewing in his own household, Debbie's unspoken suspicions, and Omni-Man's ominous secrecy. This episode delves deeper into the moral ambiguity of being a superhero. Mark meets Titan, a street-level criminal with stone-like skin who seeks his help in taking down Machine Head, a powerful crime lord. Initially reluctant, Mark empathizes with Titan's desire to protect his family and seizes this chance to truly help someone. Their operation unfolds in the neon-lit bowels of the city, where crime syndicates thrive behind high-tech security walls and advanced weaponry. As Titan and Mark confront Machine Head, an unexpected alliance of villains ambushes them. Among them is Battle Beast, an imposing lion-like warrior whose massive mace crashes through floors and walls with devastating force. A fierce battle erupts, with Mark, Titan, and the new Guardians of the Globe struggling to contain the violent onslaught. Mark, still inexperienced, takes punishing blows that crack ribs and echo through deserted hallways. The fight choreography is brutal, each impact rendered in desperate close-ups on the heroes' faces. When Omni-Man appears on a nearby rooftop watching silently, Mark's eyes search for his father's intervention. Yet Omni-Man remains impassive, arms crossed as though testing Mark's worthiness. The tension is soul-crushing. Mark is left bloodied and gasping as Battle Beast delivers a near-fatal strike before fleeing. In the aftermath, the battered heroes are rushed to hospitals. The camera lingers on Mark's unconscious form, his injuries a stark reminder of how lethal this world is. Meanwhile, in the Grayson household, Debbie furthers her investigation. She confronts art dealer Art Rosenbaum, a family friend who crafted Omni-Man's supersuits. Art's guilt-ridden expression as he confirms the blood on the suit belongs to the Guardians underscores a tragic betrayal. Debbie stands shaken, eyes filling with tears. Her world is collapsing under the weight of her husband's secret. Mark's injuries weigh heavily on him, both physically and emotionally. Bruised ribs and lingering pain remind him of his mortality. He tries to patch things up with Amber, but his unexplained absences and reluctance to reveal his superhero identity create a rift between them. The warm glow of a college campus visit, intended as a light-hearted escape for Mark and Amber, is shattered when a mad scientist named D.A. Sinclair begins abducting students. Sinclair conducts grisly experiments in an underground lab, turning his victims into mindless cyborgs known as Reaniman. When these monstrous creations attack during a campus tour, Mark is forced to suit up, leaving Amber confused and hurt by yet another vanishing act. The ensuing fight is claustrophobic and horrifying. Sparks fly from the cyborg's mechanical limbs as they hurl Mark against concrete walls. Their distorted faces, still bearing traces of terrified human expressions, add a grim note to the confrontation. Mark narrowly subdues Sinclair with help from a surprise ally, William, his close friend, who witnesses Mark's powers firsthand. The revelation strains their relationship, but it also underscores the isolation Mark faces as a hero. Back home, Omni-Man watches Mark's efforts from afar, an inscrutable look on his face that teeters between pride and cold detachment. Meanwhile, Debbie confronts her husband with the damning evidence of the bloody costume. Their argument escalates into a ferocious shouting match. Omni-Man's eyes burn with anger, yet a pang of regret flashes across his features as he realizes there is no going back. The episode begins in tense silence. Omni-Man's facade crumbles as Debbie demands the truth. In a heartbreaking scene, tears streak Debbie's face. She hurls accusations at him in their dimly lit living room, the walls themselves seeming to close in. Omni-Man confesses he admits to killing the Guardians, but he offers no genuine remorse. Instead, he speaks of Viltrumite conquest, a sense of superiority that chills Debbie to her core. Simultaneously, Cecil Stedman mobilizes the GDA forces around the Grayson household. Alarms blare, helicopters circle overhead, and spotlights flood the night sky. Mark, returning home in the midst of this chaos, experiences a torrent of confusion. His father beckons him to fly away. Cecil tries to detain Omni-Man with futuristic weapons, opens, in a stunning display of raw power, Omni-Man obliterates wave after wave of GDA drones and soldiers, the air thick with explosions and fire. Mark looks on, paralyzed by the reality that the man he idolized is laying waste to the very people he once protected. Desperate to stop his father's rampage, Mark intervenes. The confrontation escalates to a terrifying moment when Omni-Man, with an ironclad grip, forces Mark to listen. He reveals his true nature as a Viltrumite sent to conquer Earth, telling Mark that this planet's fate is sealed. The heartbreak in Mark's eyes stands in stark contrast to Omni-Man's cold determination. Their standoff leaves the audience breathless, setting the stage for the cataclysmic battle ahead. In the season finale, the father-son showdown takes center stage in an explosive clash that spans cities and ends in a hail of devastation. Omni-Man, unwilling to abandon his Viltrumite mission, tries to coerce Mark into joining him. Mark, tears streaming down his face, refuses. Their fight shatters skyscrapers, the cityscape lit by emergency sirens and raging fires. Citizens scream, trapped in rubble, as the two super beings exchange powerful blows that reverberate like thunder. Between brutal strikes, Omni-Man attempts to justify his actions, insisting that the Viltrumite Empire creates order by subjugating weaker civilizations. Mark counters with a desperate plea that compassion, love, and the human spirit are worth fighting for. In a heart-wrenching sequence, Omni-Man delivers a series of punishing hits, sending Mark crashing through buildings. Bloodied and delirious, Mark holds on to memories of Debbie and the life they built, using his love for humanity as his final source of strength. The turning point arrives when Omni-Man is on the verge of killing Mark, but halts upon seeing his son's broken, tear-streaked face. Past memories flood Omni-Man's mind, teaching Mark baseball as a child, quiet family dinners, Debbie's loving smile. A flicker of genuine emotion cracks his hardened Viltrumite persona. With rage warring against regret in his eyes, Omni-Man roars in frustration, then flies off into space, leaving Mark beaten but alive. But in the aftermath, the city lies in ruins. The world reels from Omni-Man's betrayal, and Mark stands in the rubble, a reluctant hero now burdened by the knowledge of what he must protect Earth from. Debbie cradles her son, the grief of losing her husband overshadowed by relief that Mark survived. The season ends with Mark resolving to guard the planet against the impending Viltrumite threat. A final montage flashes across the cosmos, hinting at new enemies, Sequids on Mars, the Mauler twins rebuilding, and Omni-Man hurtling through space, grappling with his own inner turmoil. Through this first season, the emotional core remains Mark's journey from an eager teen dreaming of superheroics to a bruised defender of humanity who learns the heartbreaking cost of real heroism. Each episode peels back the layers of Omni-Man's deception, culminating in a violent confrontation that leaves both father and son forever changed. As the credits roll, we're left with a mixture of hope and fear, wondering how Mark will stand against the might of Viltrum when the inevitable